the United States is the biggest oil producer in the world, if supertankers are lining up at the Gulf Coast to buy American crude, and if America just became the planet's emergency gas station, then why are you paying $4.12 a gallon? A lot of you have been asking me this question in the comments. It's a legit question and you deserve a real answer. But this is what nobody explains to you. When people say the oil industry, they talk about it like it's one thing. It is not one thing. It is three completely different businesses. And once you see the three businesses, the price at the pump makes a little more sense. Player number one is the drillers. These are the companies that pull crude oil out of the ground. The Permian Basin in Texas, the Bakken in North Dakota, shale fields all over the country. They produce raw crude oil. Think of them as farmers. They grow the crop. Player number two is the refineries. Marathon, Valero, Phillips 66. These companies buy crude oil from the drillers and turn it into gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. They are not the same companies. The refineries are customers in this case. They have to buy crude oil at whatever the market charges. And think of them as mills. They take the raw wheat and turn it into flour. And player number three is the gas station. The gas station buys finished gasoline from the refineries, adds a small markup, and sells it to you. So think of the gas station as a bakery. They take the flour and turn it into bread. So here's the chain: driller, refinery, gas station, which would be like farmer, mill, and bakery. Wheat, flour, and bread. Now, when there's a global wheat shortage, what happens? The farmer does great because wheat prices go through the roof. The mill has to pay more for wheat. The bakery has to pay more for flour, and you have to pay more for bread. This is why your gas is still expensive, even if America produces more crude oil than anybody else. But it's important to remember that everyone else's gas around the world is right now twice the price than in America. And that is exactly what is happening with oil right now. Now, there is a not so evident upside to the situation. But before that, let me give you the numbers. Before this war, Brent crude, which is the global benchmark, was sitting around $61 a barrel. After Iran shut down the Strait of Hormuz, Brent shot up to $126, almost double. Now, American crude, called WTI, also went up, but it did not go up as much. At the peak, the gap between the world price and the American price was $25 a barrel, and that is a huge gap. And that gap exists because America produces so much oil that its domestic supply creates a cushion. If that cushion didn't exist, you would not be paying $4 a gallon. You will be paying around $6. That is what Europe is dealing with right now. That is what Asia is dealing with right now. Americans are paying more, yes, but Americans are paying less than almost everyone else on Earth. But going back to the separation of these three industries, the drillers in Texas do not give refineries a patriotic discount. They sell their crude at the global price because they can. If a tanker from South Korea shows up at the Gulf Coast and offers $100 a barrel, the driller is not going to sell it to the refinery down the road for $70. That is not how markets work. The driller sells to the highest bidder, and right now, the highest bidders are coming from all over the world. So the refinery in Houston is competing with buyers from Japan, Europe, South Korea, and India for the same American crude. The refinery pays global prices. The refinery passes that cost to the gas station, and the gas station passes it to you. And there's one more layer to this that might surprise you. Right now, American refineries are making more money selling fuel to other countries than selling it inside the United States. European diesel hit $200 a barrel. American diesel was under $185. That gap means A refinery in Texas can load a tanker with a diesel, send it to Europe, and make more money than selling that same diesel to an American gas station. So US fuel exports hit an all-time record in March. Refineries are running at over 95% capacity. They are producing as much gasoline and diesel as they physically can. But a big chunk of it is going overseas because the margins are better. Trump even waived the Jones Act, which normally blocks foreign ships from moving goods between American ports. He did it to try to get more fuel flowing inside the country. But the foreign tankers that showed up went straight to international routes because the money was better abroad. So when you look at the pump and wonder why the price is high even though America is pumping more oil than ever, that is the answer. The drillers are selling crude at record prices. The refineries are buying that crude at record prices and selling their fuel overseas for even higher margins. And you at the gas station are at the end of the chain. But before I mention how this actually benefits the American economy, there's one more piece that nobody talks about: the hardware. American shale fields produce a type of crude called light sweet crude. That is great for making gasoline, but most American refineries were built 40, 50, 60 years ago to process a different kind of oil, the heavy sour crude. The kind of that comes from Saudi Arabia, Canada, and Venezuela. You cannot just pour light shale oil into a refinery that was designed for heavy crude. It doesn't work. The equipment is different. So even with record American production, refineries still import millions of barrels of heavy crude every day just to keep running. And that's why Venezuela's heavy crude is so useful. So this is not a production problem. That is a hardware problem. And fixing it means building new refineries, which takes years. The first new Gulf Coast refinery in nearly 50 years was just announced a few weeks ago at the port of Brownsville. Now, I know that what some of you are thinking. If America is selling its oil and fuel to other countries while Americans pay $4 a gallon, how is that winning? Well, here's how. The American oil and gas industry supports 11 million jobs. But not just roughnecks in the oil fields. 11 million jobs across the entire chain. Truck drivers, engineers, welders, port workers, pipeline operators, accountants, cafeteria workers at refineries in Corpus Christi. When a South Korean tanker pays $18 million to load American crude, that money flows into American paychecks, American communities, and American tax revenue. The industry contributes $2.1 trillion of the gross domestic product. That is nearly 8% of the entire American economy. It paid $570 billion in taxes in 2023 alone. Federal, state, local, that goes to schools, hospitals, roads, fire departments. Texas alone generates $454 billion in economic activity from oil and gas. So here's the big picture. Every barrel of oil sold to Japan or Germany or South Korea is a barrel that used to be sold by Saudi Arabia or Russia or Iran. That money used to leave America. Now it's coming in. The United States flipped from being a net petroleum importer to a net petroleum exporter. That means dollars flowing into the country, not out. And there's something else. When Europe depends on American oil instead of Russian oil, when Japan depends on American crude instead of Middle Eastern crude, that is a trade relationship transforming into a security relationship. Those countries now have a reason to stay aligned with American interests. The oil is not just a product. The oil has become a bond between countries. So let me bring it back to the gas station. Yes, $4 a gallon hurts. Nobody's pretending it doesn't hurt. But that pain is the price of a global disruption, not a failure of American production. American production is the reason you are paying $4 instead of $6. American production is the reason the world has an alternative to Middle Eastern oil at all. And American production is pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into American jobs, American towns, and American tax revenue. So the pain is real, but temporary. And on the other side of it, the United States is the world's energy supplier. That did not exist 15 years ago. Now it does, and that changes everything. If you want more of these breakdowns, I started a blog on geopolitics. The link is in the description. I will be writing daily analysis on geopolitics, energy markets, and what's really moving behind the headlines. Share this video with your family and friends to make sure they know what is really going on. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Power Pundit. Much love and bliss.